In this video, we will be analyzing Nancy Sparrow's series on war. Sparrow was famous for her depictions of war, having lived through World War II.
This series displays several aspects of warfare, including life at home, different perspectives of certain events, and the aftermath of the fighting.
This one's called Bomb Eagle Victims. So we see this as America's bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. And first of all, the title really shows America's priorities in this bombing. The title starting off with bomb, seeing as this was the world's first deployed bomb of this size. And then Eagle, which symbolizes America's nationalism and their pride in their country. Victims coming last, seeing what they cared about because the victims weren't as important to them as their intense nationalism.
And this is really portrayed in the painting, as you could see. The blue is that nuclear explosion, and on top of it is the red eagle, and that's what your eyes really go to because of the bright color, and it shows that they're coming out on top. While at the bottom of the painting, it's very dark, muddy. There's people down there, and those are the victims that America has just ignored in favor of looking at what they've done and their pride about it. This painting really shows America's point of view of the bombing.
Also, with the point of view being America's, this painting is very simply drawn, and the most important things in the painting are the eagle, the explosion, and then as Kayla said before, the victims at the bottom are clouded in this dark dreariness, so you can't really make them out, it's not defined. So this shows the simplicity in America's decision to bomb Japan, and that the first priority was to make themselves the greatest country. This painting is called Bomb and Victims. So in this painting, we see it as Japan's point of view, and we can see that the victims are everywhere, where they're defined very clearly, whereas in Bomb Eagle Victims, the victims were at the very bottom of the painting, and the highest point of that one was the eagle, representing America, showing that their priority, as we said before, was their greatness. So in this one, it really shows the effects of America's pride.
This one, as it's Japan's point of view, it minimizes the size of the explosion to make room for all the victims. It shows how Japan's priority after the explosion is all the casualties, while if you compare it to the previous painting, America's priority was the explosion that they inflicted on Japan along with their pride.
Also, similar to Bomb Eagle Victims, the top of the explosion here, it shows two very evil-looking faces, kind of inflicting this pain among all the victims, and we saw that it was very similar to the eagle at the top of the American painting. Eagle's source of power are its wings, sprouting out from its side, and in this painting, the top of the explosion, it mimics that eagle's position with the two heads coming out the side, those two very evil, vilified-looking heads, which I think represents America as it imitates the eagle. And this kind of shows the reality versus the ignorance of America's pride. So the reality is that the eagle, America, really just inflicted so much pain and misery upon people. While they believed it to be a very prideful thing, it was actually a very evil thing.
This one is Helicopter and Victims in River of Blood. This painting really represents how war affects people and how different people cope with it. In the way that Helicopter represents fighting, you could see all the victims in this river of blood. Some are reaching back up to the helicopter, so even though they're wounded, they still want to continue fighting. There are some who are trying to escape the river, who are trying to escape war. And then there are some who have accepted their fate and are not fighting it and not trying to escape it. No matter how they react to war, though, they are still equally as affected because they are all in this river of blood. They are all wounded.
So we don't know whether these people are American or Japanese or whatever, but we can see that they're all still affected, like Kayla was saying. And the color gray is repeated with the helicopter and the people in the river. So I think this shows their connection to war. No matter what, they're always going to be connected. War is always going to be a part of their lives after this. So with some people, it shows how connected they are to their country because they're reaching back to get into the helicopter. Some people, it shows how connected it will be with them to their deaths, because they're trying to get out of the river, but they're drowning in this blood. The grayness in this painting represents how war will always stay with you.
This painting is called Androgynous Bomb Rape. The word rape immediately catches your attention because if this is representing the aftermath of war, it shows how war raped people. And as the person is androgynous, it shows that it raped men and women by having the same effects, because it was unwanted, it was aggressive, it scarred them, it stayed with these people, just like rape.
So with the definition, although it's more defined on the woman's side, it becomes blurred out on the man's side. And I think it's trying to say that although war doesn't define you, it becomes a part of you. It kind of fades into you, and it leaves these scars with you. So we see that there's a disconnect with the heads on top and the bodies on top. And this androgynous being, whoever it is, these burdens are disconnected from them, showing the aftermath of the war. Their bodies may not be connected to their minds anymore, because their minds will always be stuck in that place they went to in the war, while their bodies are going through their lives. But this could be showing the PTSD of war and how they will never get out of that place.
The head that's screaming at the two people almost represents a lieutenant or a commanding officer in war, and how aggressive and demanding war was for the people who were exhausted, unable to go on. It sticks with them now, even after war, as that exhaustion stays with them throughout their everyday lives, and the demands of war, how it still affects them.
In this series of paintings, the common theme throughout it is the red color. Although the red isn't as clear here in Bomb Eagle Victims, the red has become greater. The red is at the top now, as we said before, representing the eagle, almost like the colors of the American flag. And in Bomb and Victims, the red is all throughout. It's become this bright orangish red with darker reds coming out of the victims, and this red has just encompassed this entire painting, showing how lethal the war has become. And the same color is in the River of Blood, as in the title. The red is pouring out of these victims' bodies, showing that the war has affected these people so greatly that it's coming out of them. The red in this last painting kind of faded away. That orangish color has faded into this beiginess, and we can see that it's all over this person's body. You can look on their right thigh, it's all over top, it's where their head is, it's like their mind is still stuck in that redness, that lethalness, and it shows that it's like a stain on your body, and no matter how hard you try to wash it away, damn spot, this color, this red, this lethalness will never go away. It's always with you.
Look at this almost empty room we found.
Oh no. Oh god. The cops have found us. We must
Do you hear
leave.
that? Do you hear the sounds?
I hear sounds. We shouldn't be here. We need to get out.
They found us.
They found us.
1, 2, 3. Thank you for listening to Lit Academy.
We must go. The cops are after us. Run!